Does Wednesday's news regarding Bally Sports Midwest bring us one step closer to the Cardinals potentially offering streaming to anybody who wants to watch Cardinals games? That's right, no blackouts. Could that be coming sooner than we think? What's going on, everyone? Welcome into b-schaeff Daily. Brenden Schaeffer here with you on Wednesday afternoon, October 2nd, 2024. Some big news in the TV broadcast world as it pertains to the St. Louis Cardinals in particular. As the report, I first saw it from The Athletic, I'm sure everybody talking about it now, that the broadcaster Diamond Sports Group says it will no longer carry 11 MLB teams in a surprise move, one that I don't think Major League Baseball necessarily saw coming, but one that the Cardinals have been preparing for behind the scenes for some time now. Reading this from Evan Drellich of The Athletic, it reads, embattled broadcaster Diamond Sports Group says 2025 it will stop carrying all but one of the 12 MLB teams it now televises, and those other clubs will either need to renegotiate new contracts with Diamond or find another option elsewhere. The one team, as reported on by The Athletic, that Diamond Sports Group, which is the parent company of Bally Sports Midwest, the one team that they plan to continue broadcasting is the Atlanta Braves. Why that is, I don't know. But the point is, the 8 other teams that were still under a contract with Diamond Sports Group for 2025, including the St. Louis Cardinals, are now, depending on your perspective, either out of luck or about to seize a brand new opportunity. Because there are a couple of different ways to view this. Well, okay, you had the contract. It was paying you handsomely. And for the Cardinals, when it comes to payroll and when it comes to revenues, that was a big part of the pie, right? That was a big chunk. The guaranteed money that they were getting from this television contract that was a massive, massive deal signed a number of years ago, and the Cardinals just have always known that money's going to be there, right? So that's the upside of having it intact. Well, it's not going to be intact anymore. So I guess the downside then is that guaranteed money that the Cardinals had been able to in past years allocate, understand it's going toward their revenue, and then when they're building out the payroll, understand that they'll have that money, those revenue streams to be able to pay out players and personnel and things like that. Right now, this is a little bit separate from everything we heard about on Monday when it comes to the Cardinals planning to revamp their player development program throughout the minor leagues. Maybe they'll hire some more coaches. They'll invest in some new technologies that they'll be able to use. And those are benefits that hopefully the team at the big league level will get to see, whether it's 2, 3, 4 years down the road, whatever that might be. They didn't really put a timeline on it, which was part of maybe the consternation about Monday's press conference. It was kind of vague. But it's all stuff that we know needs to happen, and the Cardinals are finally moving in the right direction toward that. And I tried to, maybe I didn't do a very good job of it with the live stream, of mentioning, like, this is good generally that Chaim Bloom is coming in and the Cardinals are going to work to improve these areas. It's just, I think there should have been some more accountability on the part of Bill DeWitt Jr. and the Cardinals front office in the first place in acknowledging there were missteps and are bad. Like, we didn't even really get an are bad. So that was where I spent a lot of my energy. But we're moving forward and understanding that, yes, I think it is a good thing that Chaim Bloom's going to be involved. And over the course of time, I think Cardinals fans will reap the benefits of that because the team is eventually, I think, going to right the ship. It's just going to take time. And up until Monday, they had not really ever acknowledged that there was a problem in the first place. And then they still kind of pushed back on it. You can go back and listen to my previous videos on YouTube, the live stream we did on Monday night, for more insight on that. But the notion of they were going to lower the payroll anyway for 2025, and we're going to spend a big portion of the offseason talking about how that's actually going to play out, was and it wasn't related to this Bally Sports Midwest situation and the TV contract potentially going poof. They've known in the periphery that this was a possibility for some period of time, but as for how they were proceeding within recent weeks, I think the expectation from the Cardinals and from those teams that were also being broadcast and televised by Bally Sports Midwest was the contracts are going to continue to be paid out. We're going to continue to get our money that we've agreed to, whatever the terms of those deals were. That's going to be intact for 2025, I think was the general expectation. Whether it would have become FanDuel TV or whatever it was going to end up being, maybe still there is such a change that we see involved in whatever Diamond Sports Group is trying to, pawn off on these properties. We'll see. But I feel like the general consensus was this might not be an immediate problem, but the Cardinals were maybe anticipatory of it becoming a problem soon, and so they figured with the way that the minor league infrastructure needs a reboot, we've got these expiring contracts on a guy like Paul Goldschmidt. We've got these veterans that maybe we're able to trade a couple of them to save on payroll there, and we haven't been successful on the field the last couple of years anyway. This could be a good time to step back at the major league level and take a look at some of the other things in the organization. It is coinciding, though, with all of this TV contract madness, the saga that has ensued over the past few years. So it's not completely unrelated, but it is that I'm not necessarily on board with the idea until maybe we get some reporting, and maybe the Cardinals will talk more openly about it now that it's, this train is coming down the tracks. But because this was a filing in court basically on Wednesday from the Bally Sports parent group, Diamond Sports, that is kind of setting all of this into motion, where they say, yeah, we're not going to broadcast your games next year. We're in bankruptcy. We're breaching that contract. But what that means is the Cardinals are going to have their rights released back to them to do with what they please, or they could renegotiate with Diamond Sports Group in theory, basically say, I don't know what the terms of the deal were, but let's say the Cardinals are getting $100 million. Like I said, I'm not going to look up the numbers if they're out there. I'm just using it as an example. If the Cardinals were getting $100 million per year and Diamond Sports Group says, we're not paying you that, but if you want to renegotiate, we'll give you $40 million per year and we can still do your games, the Cardinals are going to go, ha, no. This is sort of the moment we've been waiting for. Not in terms of what it's going to mean for their immediate revenues and for their immediate ability to, pour more into payroll, but they're already taking a step back on payroll anyway. They announced that on Monday. So the timing of this is actually pretty solid for the Cardinals, where you have Bill DeWitt III, who has been behind the scenes over the past couple of years. It's not to say it's all he's been working on, but I think a good solid chunk of what his job as the team president and the business side of the Cardinals organization has been is being aware of everything going on with this situation. And he's talked about it in press conferences previously of they're doing market research. They're trying to understand what is it that the consumer wants, who wants the Cardinals baseball, who wants to be able to stream it. These people in Iowa, these people in these areas where there have been blackout restrictions for so many years. What do we need to learn about our demographic and the people that want to consume Cardinal baseball, that we'll be able to provide the product to them, do it all in-house, handle it ourselves? And yes, that means more overhead, but it's just cutting out the middleman. The middleman has been Bally Sports, right? Cardinals tell them, look, you guys have all the broadcast equipment. You guys have all the, you guys hire the broadcasters. All the folks that you see and hear on Cardinals games on Bally are not technically employed by the Cardinals in that capacity. They are contractors with Bally Sports, as I understand it. So for folks who may be wondering, well, what will that mean for the actual human being broadcasters that have done Cardinals games? The Cardinals could very easily just bring all those people over and say, hey, when we have to do this in-house, yeah, you'll have to negotiate with those individuals, but it's very possible that you don't end up seeing a bunch of change on that front. You could. It's purely speculative at this point, just trying to lay out the way that it actually works. If the Cardinals end up getting their rights back to televise their games, they'll also have the ability to provide a direct-to-consumer streaming option that, as I understand it, there is no reason that would include blackouts. I understand that that's still an MLB rule, but with this seismic shift, I just cannot fathom that MLB is going to be able to look at these teams and say, oh, yeah, you're still going to do these blackouts. There's going to have to be some sort of agreement made. Now, that part, don't hear what I'm not saying. That part's not a done deal. I don't know what the legality of that is and what the bureaucracy within MLB would be to get rid of those blackout restrictions, but it's something that the Cardinals and the DeWitts have been very open about in past years of this is antiquated. This is something we don't need. And the Cardinals would stand to be, I think, one of the very tippy-top few teams in MLB to benefit the most from the elimination of blackout restrictions, because there are fans in other states that don't have their own MLB team that, because of the reach of KMOX back in the day, those families and those generations of Cardinals fans have been growing up supporting this team, even though they don't maybe live in St. Louis and they live in that kind of gray area where MLB has kind of just forgotten those consumers, those fans, and said, yeah, we're just going to black you out because we don't really know what to do with it. I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs of why the blackouts have been that way. I think for competitive balance of basically other teams saying, well, those fans could be fans of our team, don't infringe and let them watch Cardinals games because really geographically they're closer to us, or those sorts of ideas. It is very antiquated, though. In a streaming world, there's just no reason to block. And if fans want to watch the product, you let them watch the product. As much as NFL is getting sued, and I guess their class action was picked up and they were supposed to have to pay out billions, and then it got canceled for some reason because the NFL is a cartel and they are able to get away with things that they shouldn't be able to get away with. But anyway, they at least do the part right of, yeah, you can, if you want, be able to watch every team. You can, there's no blackout restrictions to that. You can, if you want, be able to, I think, buy a version of, if the teams want to offer it, watching the local games and making sure you get them all. Like, you can just buy one team, even if you don't live locally to that team. There's a lot of different options that, for whatever reason, and people in the comments might even be smarter than me on it, but I wasn't going to not come on here and not talk about this just because I didn't have all the answers for you. I think that there is going to come a day, it could be coming sooner than we think, that these blackouts are a thing of the past, and the Cardinals will then be able to seize control of their entire operation. Bally Sports did not have, as I understand it, the ability to sell off the Cardinals' rights for streaming games. Like when it was thought that Apple TV or whatever might buy the Bally Sports companies, they wouldn't have been able to just say, yeah, you can do your own direct-to-consumer streaming through Apple TV or whatever. When that was an idea, or Amazon TV, whatever the case might have been, that would not have been applicable to the Cardinals, because the Cardinals, I think through that contract with Bally, could do what they wanted with their own streaming rights. But it's also a little bit complicated because as long as Bally's was televising the games, the Cardinals couldn't go outside of that and say, here's what we're going to do with our streaming. So a little bit complicated for sure. But I think the takeaway from this is, unless the Cardinals decide to go back into bed with Bally Sports and with Diamond Sports Group for getting less money, I don't think these games are going to be on Bally Sports next year. I think that part is pretty well set in stone. And by the way, the Cardinals have no incentive to do that. There might be teams, I'm just picking out as an example, let's say that the Detroit Tigers are looking at this news today going, holy crap, we didn't see this coming. I don't know how you possibly could, because it's been very clear for years that this was a turbulent situation. But if the Detroit Tigers are looking at this going, oh boy, we weren't ready for this, how are we going to get our games on? We're going to have to get a deal with somebody. Well, they might be, up the creek without the paddle, as they say. The Cardinals are not going to be in that situation because they have been doing meticulous research and preparation for this day if it should arrive. It's not to say that they're celebrating this. Maybe they are. It's not to say guaranteed that they are, because there are some complications that come with it. You have to now do it all yourself. The Cardinals have been preparing to be able to do this all themselves and distribute the games themselves and the broadcasts themselves. But like I said, that's additional overhead. That's you need the consumers to sign up. You need Cardinals fans. Let's say they offer it for $40 a month. And by the way, for people who are hoping this is going to be like priced like Hulu or something, and you get Hulu or Netflix for like $18 a month or $12 a month, Spotify for $11 a month, I think it's going to be more than that. I could be wrong. $40 to $50 a month is what my guess would be, but that is pure speculation. And what I would say is, if it ends up being less than that, just celebrate. But realize that whatever they want to set the price at, people are probably going to buy it, and they're going to have to set that price at whatever maximizes the money. It's not going to be whatever maximizes the most people's willingness to buy it, because this is a niche product, a unique product, that if the only way you're going to be able to get it is by getting it from the Cardinals, you're going to probably pay it if you're a Cardinals fan, especially those folks who have not had the opportunity to do so because of blackouts. If that gets added to this and you're released from those restrictions, I think the Cardinals' viewpoint is going to be, yeah, people are going to want to pay this. Like NFL Sunday Ticket, for example, gets you all MLB games, but I feel as though, and it's pricey, right? It's like $300-400 a year for basically half the year. 17 weeks, 18 weeks of the season. MLB TV, I don't know offhand what that costs, and hopefully this doesn't put the kibosh on it, but I've been getting it free through T-Mobile every year because that's my phone provider, and as long as you sign up for it, you get it for free. So I haven't really had to worry about it myself, and you get all the games. Now, if you live in St. Louis locally, most people are not able to, because of blackout restrictions, stream the Cardinals in St. Louis. You're not able to do that on MLB TV. You got to go through Bally or whatever cable providers. This is potentially going to lift that veil where cable providers will not be necessary, so that $80 a month you're spending on YouTube TV or Hulu Plus Live TV or whoever offers it. I truly don't even know anymore. If DirecTV ever started offering it again, I'm unaware, blissfully unaware, because I haven't had to worry about it. But I do think that there is a world in which they can look at the price of it and say, if people want to pay it, we're gonna offer it at a little bit of a premium, because this is the show in town. This is the place you can get it. So I just don't know that it's going to be like $10 a month. It'd be nice. And I was trying to think of what the price of MLB TV was for a year, like $150, $200 maybe, and that's for every team. But will they adjust and negotiate those prices a little bit differently in the future? Maybe the price generally of MLB TV goes up if you're able to include all the teams in it. That's where it could be a little bit tricky. The Cardinals could be like, well, we want this direct-to-consumer streaming product for just our games, but the blackout restrictions on buying the national MLB package, maybe that still exists. So you might have to buy both. If you want to watch all the games, you might have to buy the MLB package. If you always buy it, you'll buy it. But then to get Cardinals, instead of having it through your cable provider, you might be paying them a monthly amount as well. This is all speculation. I am fully going to have to be aware that I'm going to get some things wrong here, but I'm just kind of reacting to this as everybody is, that it's very interesting. The story from The Athletic and Evan Drellich noted that MLB's representatives said they were, quote, sandbagged by this news and they were not prepared to respond fully. We have no information about what is being done, said Jim Bromley, a lawyer for MLB, at a hearing on Wednesday. We've had no opportunity to review, and now we're in front of the court and being asked to make our comments. Basically, bad blood with Diamond Sports, because I just don't think MLB was fully briefed on what their plans were for this. And this is not going to end in they'll just do another deal because the Cardinals don't want to have to do all of it themselves. No. This is going to end with the Cardinals offering their own product. The details of will it be free of blackouts? Will it be this year? Will it be, all of those things are maybe still up in the air. Will it be the same broadcasters you know and love? Those are things that I can't possibly know. But this is definitely, of all the times we've talked about Diamond Sports and the various layers to this saga, thinking we knew what the answer was going to be, and then it ended up being something different completely, I feel like this one is the most definitive that we've seen so far, where we're finally going to get some movement, because the Cardinals are going to have no interest in trying to renegotiate with this company that has been operating in bad faith for so long. Yes, the Cardinals have been getting paid handsomely by them, but you knew that eventually the hourglass was going to run out of sand. The good news for Cardinals fans is that the team has been preparing for this, and for fans in the long run, I think it's actually going to make things better because it'll be more accessible. It could be at a price that, and again, the NFL got sued for the notion of monopolizing their Sunday ticket, and the prices were too high for so long. The prices are still very high. I'm not really sure how the NFL got away with not having to pay out that class action lawsuit. But anyway, I could see a world in which generally across the board, the price to consume MLB TV ticks up if this gets opened up. But hopefully it doesn't change too drastically, and you might be able to get Cardinals games for $30 a month. I don't know. I'm hesitant to tell you it's going to be just like your Netflix subscription, which has been getting increased in price anyway too. I just don't know what it's going to end up being, but the notion that you're going to be able to access it and it's not probably going to be like, what would be the point if the Cardinals were like, okay, $75 a month, here you go, and you're like, well, wait a minute, what? I was paying $80 a month for cable, and the only reason I got cable was for the Cardinals. But you could also do a little bit of quick math on that. Let's say your YouTube TV is $80 a month. I don't know what it is. I don't have it. If it's 80 times 12, and yeah, you could cancel it during the months that the Cardinals aren't playing, obviously, if you don't care about all the other stuff. But 80 times 12 would be $960 a year for your cable subscription. And if you're truly one of those people who only have it because you love the Cardinals, and I know you guys are out there, then, okay, maybe you only do it for 7 months a year and you cancel because there's no contracts, which is nice. Okay, that's what did I say, 7 months a year at $80 a pop, $560 a year. If the Cardinals could know that and go, all right, we're not necessarily going to be offering a lot of great stuff in the offseason, so we can price it as though it's really just that, February. And then the Cardinals would do well to actually bother to broadcast all the spring training games. Like, that'd be a nice perk. I think Cardinals fans would pay. I think they would watch it. Maybe they make you pay a separate price for getting the spring training games, but they'll have to physically allocate the broadcasters to do those games. And in the past, there's been reluctance to do that for every game, which is, I get it, costs money. However, I think it would be smart, and the demand is there to pay the broadcasters to do those games, to pay the production people to produce those games, and they could probably make a bundle on top of whatever their season-long subscription would be if and when they're able to unveil one, which I think could be coming as soon as 2025. That's the whole point of what we're talking about here. But just trying to figure out the pricing of it, it's like if it's, let's even just say March to September because the playoffs is not going to be on whatever broadcast entity the Cardinals create. March, April, May, June, July, August, September. 7 months is still where we're looking at. I mean, they could say it's $50 a month for in season, and maybe they would put together content that would make you want to subscribe throughout the offseason, or maybe it would just be like NFL Sunday Ticket where you pay and you get it for those few months, and then there's no point in having it in the offseason. But they could say it's $50 a month, but you're still going to save money if it's $350 a year versus you were spending $960, or even if you canceled it in the offseason, you were spending $560. So that's my reasoning in like the breakdown as to why I would say don't just think it's going to be a number in the teens. I think it'll be much more than that, but I haven't talked to people or asked around about what other people think. That's just me like giving you my instant reaction as to why it might make sense that they could charge more and still have it be probably cheaper than you were paying for cable. And if you're somebody in Iowa or one of those other areas that's not able to get it right now at all because you're blacked out from watching the team that you want to watch, those people will probably gladly pay the $40 or $50 a month. So that's why I'm like, all right, I don't know that it's going to be cheaper. Expect it to still be expensive. But for the folks that don't even have access at all because they've been denied it by antiquated blackout restrictions, you guys are waiting for that veil to be lifted. And I don't know if that's going to come right away. It could. But it does seem as though the first step is being taken toward that, where the Cardinals are finally going to be out of that contract. It's a contract that served them well as long as it was being paid out to them. But as it became clear that that was getting more tenuous and tenuous over the time, this is a day that maybe the Cardinals are surprised by it. But I also think that they've been preparing for it. So it's not World War III where it's like, oh, man, they're completely lost and this is going to be the end of everything, mass chaos. It's just, all right, they're going to have to adapt in the interim. But the bad news is like they were already going to lower payroll, and now they're going to have a really good built-in excuse to do it without being slung the arrows at them, because they're going to say, well, you know, this TV thing is really tough on us. We're going to have to really cut down. And we don't have the access to their books. So that's a lot more conceivable than it used to be when we knew they had this guaranteed TV money come in, and we knew that Ballpark Village and we knew that parking, you know, we knew all of whatever they're able to make revenue off of. Ticket sales, concessions, all that stuff. Now it's like, all right, are they going to have a pretty, you know, bulletproof argument that, yeah, sorry, everybody, we really do have to cut a little bit back on payroll. Hope you understand. And they might. I do hope they message it appropriately. Again, I just think they could stand to have better messaging, because you might even find Cardinals fans sympathetic more so than you'd think to a lot of this if they would just kind of be out front with the reasons and not have it feel like there's always something being held back that we're not getting straight answers on. Don't know if that's a fair characterization, but I do know that hearing from Cardinals fans, that's the way that a lot of people do feel about it. So let me know your thoughts, Cardinals fans, on all of this. More to come, obviously, on this topic, but it's just breaking, and I think it'll be developing in the days and weeks ahead. So let me know your thoughts and your reaction to the news from Wednesday that Diamond Sports Group, the parent company of Bally Sports Midwest, is saying, no, we're not broadcasting Cardinals games in 2025. The shackles could be off. It's kind of hard to say the shackles when they were being paid so handsomely, but they were tethered to this contract without the ability to then go out and start on their own foot. And that's what I think they're going to be ready to do. Maybe, though, there's another company that comes swooping in and the Cardinals are like, oh, we trust the valuation of this company, and we don't think they're going to go bankrupt, and they're paying us as much or more than Bally was willing to do. Okay, we don't have to do our own thing. That's still a possibility, technically. If Amazon or YouTube or whoever, Google, whoever wants to do it, Cardinals could say, be our guest. But if it comes to it, they are prepared to, or have been preparing to, do their own thing and probably do it pretty well. I think in the long run, the 5 to 10 year range, you're going to look back on this and go, oh, it's so much better than it used to be in terms of accessibility and being able to get Cardinals games. Hopefully that's the truth. I'm naive to believe it, but that's kind of the way that I look at it today. Let me know your thoughts, Cardinals fans, and we'll continue to put content up on this page, so make sure you are subscribed on YouTube for the entire offseason as it comes up. Appreciate you guys so much, as always, for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on b-schaeff Daily. Peace.